Hello dear students, I am Samir Velankar. I welcome all of you to this another video, Lossless Decomposition. Now this is just the beginning of our discussion on normalization. Now you have watched earlier videos in this normalization chapter like what is functional dependency, what are the uses of functional dependency, and now we will learn that what is lossless decomposition, or rather we will also learn what is lossy decomposition, which is just the opposite of lossless. Well, you know by now the definition of normalization. What do you mean by normalization? If you have got a table, let's say R, A, B, C, D, four attributes, or say n attributes, some attributes are there in this table R, then you split the table into smaller tables, let's say R1, R2, such that some attributes of R will be there in R1 and some attributes of R will be there in R2. For instance, R1 and R2, as you see, may contain R1 may contain A, B, and R2 may contain B, C, D. So instead of having one table of four attributes, now we are having two tables, R1 and R2. One table is just having two attributes A and B, and the other table is having three attributes. Hence, a larger table is split into smaller. And why do you do this? This is the normalization process that we do to remove the redundancy of the data and to remove the anomalies that occur, like insert anomaly, update anomaly, and delete anomaly, that was learned in the first few videos of normalization chapter. But then the big question is that given a table R having A, B, C, D attributes, how we should divide this? Can we just put any of the attributes in the first table and any other attributes in the other table? What is the decision making here that we can decide that R1 is going to have these attributes A, B, and R2 is going to have these attributes B, C, D? So that is what exactly will be discussed in this particular class or this particular video. Just consider an example here. The example here shows a table R which contains three attributes A, B, C, and we decide that we are going to split this table. Now you see the table R is having three attributes, and let's imagine that these are the current rows in this table R. So we have got a row A1, B1, C1, and similarly A2, B1, C1, and A1, B2, C2. These are the three rows in this particular table. And we decide that we are going to split this table R, A, B, C, three attribute table into two tables. First table will be R1, which will contain only attribute A, and the other table will be R2, which will contain remaining two attributes B and C. So RABC is simply broken as R1 will contain only this A attribute and R2 will contain the remaining two attributes. Now let me tell you very early that this type of decomposition, this is known as decomposition, isn't it? R is decomposed into R1 and R2. So that's the word decomposition. This type of decomposition is wrong. And this type of decomposition will be lossy decomposition. Lossy decomposition. Now, but why? Now there is a problem over here. The problem is very early you see that R was having ABC, three attributes, and we have split this into two tables, R1, which is having only attribute A, and R2, which is having two attributes B and C. But there is no attribute in common between these two tables. See this? R1 is having A, R2 is having BC. These two tables do not have any common attribute. When they do not have any common attribute, this will create problem later on. What problem? That's what I am going to explain. But first of all, you see, if suppose you have got a table R with 4 attributes, just imagine, and you split this or decompose it into R1 and R2. But R1 contains A and B, and R2 has C and D attributes. This is decomposition we have done in R1 and R2. But you note there is no common attribute in R1 and R2. R1 has AB, R2 has CD. Then this decomposition is wrong. And in fact, it will be lossy decomposition. We want lossless decomposition, but this decomposition will be lossy. Okay, coming back to this, why this is such a problem? Here we go. Let's see. Now this table R has been divided into R1 and R2, everybody knows. Now I have shown R1 table over here and R2 table along with its rows over here. Watch, R1 will have attribute isn't stable state, and R2 has attributes B and C. Then what will be the values of A? Just check the original table I am marking here. Values of A are A1, A2, A1. Doesn't that mean A1 and A2? That's it. Or will you write A1 again over here? No, no, no. Unique values. You should have. Why? Because this is an individual row and the row cannot be duplicated, isn't it? The entire row cannot be duplicated. I hope you are understanding. So A1, A2, A1 are the values of A. So in the new table R1, under the column A, we will be having two values A1 and A2. And let's see values of BC for table R2. These values of B and C will be taken by R2 table. What are the values? B1C1, B1C1, B2C2. So obviously we will have only B1C1 and we will have B2C2, isn't it? Because B1C1 is duplicated. So these are the two rows that will be in R2 and these will be the two rows that will be in R1. That's how we have split R, ABC, such that R contains only A and R1 contains only A and R2 contains B and C. So these are the two tables that we have got. But now what? Now later on, when we write some queries, we might require information of A, information of B, and information of C together. Isn't it so? I hope you are understanding. That's what you have learned in SQL. You often write the queries as select A, B, C from R1, comma R2. Isn't it? R1, comma R2. You are referring to tables. You are telling SQL that my data is in two tables. Out of that, R1 contains A. So you may even write R1 dot A is here, isn't it? And R2 contains B and C. So I am referring to tables, you will say. So what you did first is you have decomposed R into R1, R2. But later on, while writing queries, you will be joining these two tables. Yes, that's the word. You will be joining, isn't it? The two tables so that you get the data from dispersed tables. From different tables, you will get the data. And additionally, remember, after saying I want data from R1, R2, you normally write where clause, isn't it? Where something from R1 matches something in R2. Like that you write. But for that, you should have a common attribute. You cannot write where clause here. Imagine that R1 had B, column B, and R2 also has column B. In that case, you can compare value of B here with value of B here because you have something common, but there is nothing common here. By the way, what I mean over here, if you try to join these two tables, R1 and R2 now, then it will simply result in a cross product. Because when you say I want to select something from R1 comma R2, these two tables are simply going under an operation of cross product, and then from that cross product you may have where clause where something is selected, but you can't write where clause because there is nothing to compare here, and simply here join means the cross product. So R1 cross R2 over here will be, what will be R1 cross R2? Let's see. This A1, you note the first row will be combined with the first row. That means you will get A1, A1, B1, C1. But the first row itself will be combined with the second row also, because every row is combined with every other row of the other table. So you will get A1, check this, A1, B2, C2, isn't it? Again, you watch the cross product. The second row over here, A2, will be combined with the first row, and second row will be combined with the second row. So we will get A2, B1, C1 and A2, B2, C2. This is what we have got after we have found cross product of R1 cross R2. But notice R1 cross R2, according to our reading, must have been equal to R, must have been equal to the table R. That means table R had 3 rows. Observe this, table R had 3 rows, but R1 cross R2 is having 4 rows. From where has this fourth row arrived? Let's see. Let's refer the two tables again, up and down here. These two tables, this is our original table, correct? And this is R1 cross R2. Let's refer. A1, B1, C1 is there in the original table. A1, B1, C1 is there in R1 cross R2. Okay. A2, B1, C1. Observe this, second row of the original table. A2, B1, C1. Yes, A2, B1, C1 is there in R1 cross R2. A1, B2, C2. Observe the third row. A1, B2, C2. Yes, A1, B2, C2 is available here. But then this particular row which I am marking, A2, B2, C2, was not present in the original table. This is a spurious, an extra row which has arrived while joining these two decomposed tables and forming R1 cross R2. Then we say the decomposition done in R1 R2 was lossy. It was a lossy decomposition. Why? Because after forming R1 cross R2, we are not getting original table. In fact, we are getting more rows. We are getting extra rows. Now, this word lossy is many times confusing. People think lossy means we are going to lose some rows. We are going to miss out some rows from the original table. No, no. We get all the rows from the original table, but we get some extra rows. In fact, we get more rows. That's what is the lossy word. Lossy means actually we are getting spurious tuples, spurious rows as compared to original table. But the spurious rows are very dangerous. This will tell something more data which is not existing, isn't it? Just see, that's what I have written here. This type of decomposition is going to be wrong. Must contain, see, R1 cross R2 must contain only 3 rows. But there is a spurious tuple. This tuple in R1 cross R2 is spurious. So therefore, this kind of join is lossy. This kind of decomposition is lossy decomposition. Lossy decomposition does not mean that we are going to lose the original tuples, but it means we will get some extra or spurious tuples after joining the smaller tables. Let's take one more example. Let's say we are having a table R having 4 attributes A, B, C, D, and this table 2 rows are there. A, B, C, D are the attributes, and we have got only 2 rows. Imagine right now A1, B1, C1, D1, A2, B2, C2, D2, and we decide that this table is going to be decomposed. That's the word. That's the word. Decomposed into R1 AB, R1 AB, and R2 CD. Now see this decomposition. In R1 and R2, there is no common attribute, isn't it? R1 has AB, R2 has CD. There is no common attribute. Then forget it. This is wrong. This will be lossy decomposition, because on joining these two tables later on, we are not going to get the original table. We are going to get some spurious tuples. Let's see. So we have decided something wrong. This R, this R is decomposed into R1AB and R2CD, isn't it? Observe again that R1 and R2 have no common attribute. The two tables R1 and R2 will be, now this will be R1. Note R1 has only A and B, and this will be R2. Note R2 will have only C and D. Now it is very easy to see. If A and B are there in R1, then R1 will have A1 B1, A2 B2, correct? And if R2 is going to have only C and D, then R2 will have C1 D1, C2 D2. So for decomposition, we have decomposed. But later on, if we want some data from R1, like we want A and we want D, these two datas we want, but these are in two separate tables, then we will have to join them, isn't it? We will have to join these decomposed tables, and we take Cartesian product of the two tables while joining. But when we join these two tables, let's see what is R1 cross R2 going to be. Now, watch out, the cross product is, as you know, is taken by taking first row of R1 and combining it with the first row of R2 and also combining it with the second row of R2. So we are going to get A1 B1 C1 D1 and A1 B1 C2 D2. Similarly, the second row, isn't it? The second row will be joined with the first row, and second row will be also joined with the second row. So we are going to get A2 B2 C1 D1 and A2 B2 C2 D2. But you observe that the new table is having 4 rows. But R1 cross R2 was expected to be same as R. But these are the two spurious tuples. You see, this tuple A1 B1 C2 D2 was not there in the original table, isn't it? Was not there in the original table. Original table, this one I'm talking about. Yes. So this particular row has become spurious here, A1 B1 C2 D2. It is not there in the original table. And also the other row which is spurious is A2 B2 C1 D1. Observe, this row is also not there in the original table. That means the join, that is R1 cross R2, the join of these two have resulted in wrong result. Then the decomposition of R into R1 and R2 is wrong, and it is called as lossy decomposition. I repeat, lossy doesn't mean that we are going to miss out some tuples from the original table. We will get all the rows of the original table, but we will get some extra data, extra rows, spurious rows. And that's why this decomposition is wrong. It is lossy. Then what are the things that we should do for lossless decomposition? So that decomposition is correct. Lossless means it is correct. If table R is split into two tables, R1 and R2, then there must be common attribute in R1 and R2 tables. This is the first condition that should be satisfied. So, as an example, if R is a table and it is having three attributes A, B, C, and we are decomposing it in R1 and R2 two tables, then suppose R1 has two attributes A and B and R2 has two attributes B and C. Now this is okay because there is a common attribute B in both the tables. So this is the first thing that should be satisfied when you split the tables or decompose the tables into two tables. And the second and the most important is that common attribute must be a key in either R1 or R2. Now what is that key? It is candidate key, isn't it? That key must be candidate key, or you can call it as primary key. But basically it should be key in either R1 or R2. What I mean by this, just imagine we have divided this table R into R1 and R2 like this, and we observe in R2 B determines C. We observe this. What does that mean is B has an ability to determine all the other attributes. There are only two attributes in R2. It has ability to determine all other attributes of R2. Then B is the candidate key, isn't it? Because B closure is going to contain B and C. That means B closure is containing all the attributes which are present in R2. So we say B is a candidate key in R2. And remember, B was a common attribute. Then this common attribute must be a candidate key either in R1 or in R2 or maybe in both. If it is in both, then well and good, isn't it? As an example, here I have written the same thing. You watch that we are having R and it is split into R1 and R2. But R1 has only A and R2 has BC. Above split will result in lossy decomposition because there is no common attribute. Hence, it is wrong to split the tables as shown. But what if RABC is split into two tables such that R1 is AB and R2 is BC? Now the two tables R1 and R2 have common attribute B. And just imagine that this B is the candidate key in R2. In this R2 table, this B is a candidate key. Then note B is a common attribute and B is the candidate key in R2. Then this is lossless decomposition. Hence, it is correct to split the tables as shown above. I hope you got few things over here. Now just tell me, suppose I am having a table R which has four attributes ABC, ABCD, and I split it as R1 AB and R2 BCD. BCD. Now there is a common attribute in the two tables. And just imagine that in this R2 table, we have a dependency B determines CD. We have this dependency. What that means is B closure is going to contain B, of course, and B will bring in CD. That means B closure is containing all the attributes of R2. That means B is the candidate key in R2. And remember, it was a common attribute. Then the common attribute B is candidate key in at least one of the tables. Here it was in R2, then this kind of decomposition is lossless. I hope you have understood the definition of lossless. Don't worry. In the coming lectures, in the coming videos, we are going to see a lot of examples of decomposition. When is the decomposition lossless? When is the decomposition lossy and all that? We are going to see that in detail. Okay, so that's it for this particular video, but in the next video I will tell you more about this decomposition. There is something called dependency preserving decomposition. Thank you very much.